Okay, it's now 5:30. I'm going to call the City of Monessen public hearing to order. Call the roll. Lois Thomas?
Here.
John Nestor?
Present.
I'm present.
Yeah, it's me.
It's your turn.
Everybody knows I'm Joe Delfonso. I'm the solicitor, also the hearing officer tonight. We're here for a public nuisance demolition determination hearing. 15 properties before us, some housekeeping matters before we begin. Are we recording?
We are recording.
Okay. Notice of this hearing was published in the Mon Valley Independent on May 16th, 2023. Mr. Davis, the code enforcement officer, posted all these properties. My office sent out certified letters to all record owners and record lien holders, notifying them of this evening's hearing. Just while we're going through the agenda, one parcel is going to be taken off, 436 McKee Avenue. I spoke to the owner, Mr. Gardner, and I have sent an agreement to him to agree to have the house demolished. He was under the impression that he no longer owns the property. The title search indicated otherwise. He would have been here today, but he lives in Maryland, and he had to go to a funeral. All right, so we'll start with our first property. It's 454 McKee Avenue. Parcel number 20-0203-0361. Is that the picture, Marvin?
That is
Okay.
property.
Quickly tell us about this property and its issues, please.
That picture doesn't show a lot because the trees have grown in, but the front porch is collapsed.
Okay.
I believe there is also a partial rendering of a hole in the roof on the right-hand side, if I'm not mistaken. Inside the house, as has been noted, there is vegetation growing inside the house, through the house. There's trees, as a matter of fact. The front porch is disastered. Windows are not real good, knocked down. Some are boarded. The property is overgrown, and in most recent weeks, we've been infested with raccoons and rats, which probably would be normal
Okay.
for the property. I don't see much happening with the property personally.
All right, and in your opinion, is it a danger to the health, safety, and welfare of the residents?
I think it could cause a lot of problems. I think it could bring on problems to the residents and the people that live in the McKee area.
All right, anything else you'd like to add?
Does someone live next door?
Someone does. There is a relatively nice property
Yeah,
there
right
that the
next
owner
door,
has spoke
right.
to me about in years past, and I'm just thankful that everybody's in agreement that
Right.
that property is not
Okay.
gonna not come up to code, so it probably needs to go.
Okay, good. I thought someone lived there, so I'm
Yeah.
sure they'd be happy to have that now.
All right, and I believe we have representatives here for the property. Anything you would like to say?
We're in agreement. The property was sold with false pretenses that
Mhm.
it was actually suitable. We purchased and transferred the property before we could legally get into the property. And so last summer, through the walkthroughs, inspections, and we had 3 different professionals, we do agree.
Okay.
We do not want to.
Okay. All right, there's nobody else here. So that concludes 454 McKee. You had another property you said you were interested in.
Just if it helps to.
478?
It is my family's
Okay.
property.
Well, we have to introduce the property first, so. You have the picture ready, Marvin?
I believe that is 478.
Okay. All right, Mr. Davis, tell us about 478 McKee Avenue.
478 McKee Avenue is not necessarily a disaster. It is a overgrown property. It hasn't been lived in, I would suspect, probably about 6 or 7 years. There appears to be some water damage on the inside of the property. The windows actually seem somewhat stable. The roof is not that bad. Some of the gutters on the rear side of the property are not in good shape and probably need to be removed. but just because of what may be going on in the inside and probably just a little bit of, foundation damage on the far left-hand side facing the house,
Okay.
which could cause problems if it's not addressed soon. And if no one's gonna address it soon, I would assume that that would be a house that probably needs to be destroyed or demolished as well.
Are there occupied homes around that property?
And next door, there's another blighted property, but it is in the vicinity across the street of
Okay. Uh,
some known living quarters.
Does the house as it's shown today or as it exists today, does it pose a risk to the health, safety, and welfare of the residents?
I think so. Anytime a house
Okay.
is vacant, I think it poses a threat simply for people going in and bad things happening.
Okay. Ms.
Yeah.
Hall, you're up if you'd like to speak on that property.
In concurrence to Mr. Marvin,
Mhm.
we were in our, it's my aunt's home.
Okay.
She is mentally incapacitated.
Okay.
She does not reside in the state anymore.
Okay.
And there were squatters in it, and unfortunately, there
Okay.
was a fire in the bathroom.
Okay.
That actually caught the roof on fire.
Oh, so there was actually a fire on the property.
There was a fire on the property, and there is a hole now in the roof.
Okay. All right. Any questions from mayor or council?
Nope.
All right, that's, unless there's any other properties, you're free to go. Council will vote on these later.
Thank you, sirs.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, Marvin.
436.
We're taking that one off.
That's gone?
That's McKee, right?
Yep.
Yep.
420 Chestnut.
420 Chestnut. All right, 420 Chestnut is, I believe, owned by Mirio Hudson.
Yeah,
Tell us about this property.
bad piece of property. There are some boarded up windows on the lower level, but everything above it is broken out. A lot of water damage. All the overhangs and the overhang of the porch is collapsing. All the posts that hold the overhang up are also rotted and not in good condition. There's some foundation problems around the rear and the right side of this piece of property. There is also roof damage. There's a hole in the roof on the top left-hand side, I believe it is.
Okay.
And just the smell, it's molded,
Hmm.
and you can tell that there's water damage on the inside as well.
Okay. Are there occupied structures around this property?
There are across the street and adjacent to it, there are some
Okay.
properties that people live in.
All right, does this property, in your opinion, endanger the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the city?
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add about 420 Chestnut?
No, it would be a blessing to see it gone.
Okay. Any questions for the code enforcement officer from mayor or council?
None.
All right, Mr. Davis, we're moving on.
402 McKee.
All right. 402 McKees are owned by Herbert and Margaret Lippincott, according to the county records. Tell us about this property.
That piece of property, this piece of property's been sitting for a while. I've tried to contact it because they do have some family locally.
Mhm.
I did speak to them, and they decided there wasn't anything that they wanted to do or could do with the property. It wasn't left to them in any respect as far as a will or anything of that nature. The front porch is probably totally collapsed. The flooring is anyway. The overhang is also rotted, and it appears to be in a collapsed state as well. A lot of the windows on the side of the house are broken, as well as the porch on the side being collapsed and damaged. A drop-off for all kind of goods. It's just a dump site.
Okay.
That's what it is. It's filled with unnecessary goods, chairs, furniture, and the like, clothing. Front steps are bad as well, and then it's overgrown, and there's also been reports of rodents and raccoons and things of that nature, and it's open. It's not sealed at all. We keep pulling it closed, but it's not a sealed building, and it's open for public use or
Okay.
people go in and out of it, so I think it needs to go as well.
Is there any occupied structures around that?
There are across the street
Okay.
and also adjacent to it, above it, there are several
Okay.
homes that would be glad to see this going, where people are living and trying to take care of their properties.
Is that property in the condition that it is in today, is it a threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the city residents?
It is, simply because it's open and it can be transferred and used for illicit activities.
Okay. All right, anything else you'd like to add for the record?
No, sir. Just
Any-
keep going.
Questions from mayor or council?
None.
Next property.
Let's look at 329, I believe it is, McKee.
I don't have a 329. 429 McKee?
I'm sorry. I got these threes in my head today. 429.
Okay. All right, the record shows that this property is owned by Jennifer Bandalo. Tell us about this property.
It's the same thing. The people at one point seemed to try to work on this property. They did put some windows in, but there is some roofing that is bad on it, especially on the left-hand side, facing it on the left-hand side. The upper portion of the roof is emaciated. It's just about one on one side. The front porch looks good, but the posts are rotted. The overhangs aren't that bad. The side porch on the right-hand side is damaged and would need extensive work in order to rehabilitate it. The property in general is boarded up. In most cases, everything above the lower level is open. There is water damage. You can tell from one side that you look at where the roof is bad. And just being open for the length of time that I've seen it open, which has been ever since I've been back doing code over a year, I would say there's extensive water damage and it probably needs to be demolished as well.
Okay. Is there occupied structures nearby?
There are across the street as well as adjacent to it. There's a property where people are living.
Okay. And in its current condition, does this property pose a risk to the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the
I
city?
would say yes, by all means.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
Not at present.
Questions from anybody up here? Next property.
Let me see. Wait a minute here, Joe. Let's go to 441, McKee.
Alright. 441 McKee is, according to the county records, is owned by Judith Corona and Brian Baker. Tell us about this property.
When you look at this property, it doesn't look that bad. There are some issues. The back porch has collapsed on this property. There are some foundational issues on the side where there's some steps and some windows are out. It's an open venue as well. A lot of people have been in and out of it at times. At one point, I got a report of squatters in it. Overhang on the right side of that house is bad as well. There are some downspouts that are missing, which would indicate that there is some water damage in the property as well.
Okay.
And I would just think that it is a hazard to the public. And
Okay.
there are neighboring properties in the area where people live and stay.
Okay. Any questions for this property up here? All right, next parcel, Marvin.
422 Clarendon.
There's a house behind all that?
There is a house behind all that.
All right, tell us about 422 Clarendon.
422 Clarendon is a house that is totally disabled. There's nothing that house could be used for except for a good tear down. It's collapsing, front porches collapsed, holes in the roof, no windows in the property, all downspouts, all drains, all soffit is gone. It's a total disaster. That house is a lost cause.
There are occupied structures around this property?
Only one or two. Everything around this property needs to be
Demo.
gotten
Okay.
rid of.
This property currently exists. Does it
Absolutely.
pose a
Danger
risk to the
Yep.
citizens?
It does.
Few individuals came in. It's a public hearing for demolition. I don't believe either of you are here to voice opposition, right? Correct. Okay. Any questions from council on this parcel? Next property.
440 Clarendon Avenue.
Okay.
House back there too?
There's a house there.
There is a house behind 440 Clarendon, and this is taken in March. As of now, you can't see it.
Can't see it.
No problem.
This is a house, a good friend of mine used to live there. Matter of fact, got killed there. This house is devastated as well. It's wide open. There is some roof issues with it. There's water damage on the inside. As you can see, it's overgrown. There has been large reports. As a matter of fact, just this past week, we did some extensive raccoon trapping there, which is causing a lot of havoc in the neighborhood. There's a lot of nesting in there, rodents. It's well overgrown, and it's just deteriorated to the point where I don't see there's any way that anybody would be able to rehabilitate that property.
Okay. Does it pose a danger to the residents?
Absolutely. As she said, people have been in it. There's been a fire started there, and people have squatted there in recent or past years, I should say. So it too is also a detriment to the community.
All right, questions from council? Next property.
The next property is also on Clarendon. I believe it's 442 Clarendon.
Okay. Tell us about this property.
This property has been lying idle for many years. It's wide open, it's mold infested, water damage inside of it. It is open as well. It has, as far as I know, it's never been boarded up or shut up. A lot of water damage along the right-hand side of the roof. The back porch is collapsed as well. As you can see, it's overgrown. Those at one time were bushes, and now they've turned to trees, etc. But it's overgrown and open. It's also a danger to the community because it's open and can be used for whatever.
Okay. Any questions from council?
No.
Next property.
Sure, I can't remember. I think this is, I believe this is 450 Clarendon.
Okay.
Another one. You have that one?
I do.
That too is a property that, front porch is collapsed and gone. There are no windows in that property at all. There's a basement door that's been open for a long period of time. There is water settling in it. There's tremendous water damage in it. Roof is gone. Back porch is gone. It in itself is probably near collapse. It also is a wide open property with heavy infestation of raccoons, rats, and just a lot of debris has been dropped there as well. That's also a dumping ground for materials, furniture, things of that nature.
Okay. Does it pose a risk to the citizens of Monessen?
I would say yes.
Okay. Any questions from council? Mr. Telegraphist, you have anything to add? Okay. Next property, Marvin.
The next property is also on Clarendon Avenue. I need to locate this one real quick.
Yeah, I don't have any more
I don't see
Clarendon.
another Clarendon.
How about Motheral? Chestnut.
We have Chestnut, couple on Chestnut, and a
Hold
couple
on, I got 438 on Motheral.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
no problem.
Clarendon we removed also. I don't know why that one didn't get on.
There was a reason why we moved.
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't remove that from here.
Okay.
438 Motheral, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
That also is a property, collapsed roof. There's no roof on the right-hand side of this building here.
Okay.
The front porch is also deteriorated. Floorboards are all gone on it. There's a window on the side that is open, the heavy odor of mold. As you can see, it is overgrown. And with the roof the way it is, I mean, the chimney is falling also on that one side of the porch where the roof is. And this also is a property that I would say is in line for definite demolition.
Is there any occupied structures around this property?
There are several occupied structures across the street and adjacent to that. As a matter of fact, there's one right next door to it. It's a real decent property that people keep their property, and I think it's a issue for them as well.
So this property, as it currently stands, is it a danger to the residents of Monessen?
Yes, there's been reports of people in it hanging out as well, so I would say yes, that also is a property. And this is also a picture of that, where the roof and the chimney is about to come off of that building.
Okay.
It's not in real good shape either.
Any questions from council?
No.
No.
All right, Marvin, I have 413 Motheral, 400 Chestnut, and 412 to 418 Chestnut left.
413 Motheral.
Okay.
See if I can get to that, right there. This is one of those properties that kind of speaks for itself. There practically is no roof on that building. That building is set that way for a lot of years. I lived in that neighborhood as a young man, and I believe almost then it was boarded up. It's been a long time, but that roof is gone on that building. Heavy water damage to that building. Also, much dumping has been done there. There's nothing to hold the backside really up. The backside is depleted, rotted, deteriorated. That too is a piece of property that needs to go. We have a interest in a home that's right next door to that. As a matter of fact, there's two houses in that area, but we have an interest in that property for a side lot purchase.
Okay.
And I would think that that would be a property that would be ideal to go as well.
Okay. As this property sits, is it a risk to the residents of Monessen?
Absolutely.
Okay. Questions from council?
No.
All right. Next property.
400 Chestnut. That building is just a deteriorated building. It looks like it's somewhat stable. The nicest thing about that building is the door that you look at now. The steps are all, there really aren't steps. I don't even know how Lloyd and I got up there to post that house. I think we climbed up over the banister, but we did get up there to do it. It's overgrown. There is a partial collapse on the backside of the roof. The back porch and the side porch are also deteriorated. Floorboards are gone. And that house also has a heavy odor of mold. And also there's been there's a lady that we're gonna get to her house in a moment that also reported heavy rodent use, raccoons, rats.
Okay.
And I would say that also is a house that needs to be taken down. Now, that house is boarded
Okay.
somewhat. The only open windows are on the upper level. I think there's that one you see in the front. I think there's one around the side that may be open as well. But I still think there's possibilities of people getting in there and causing havoc.
Okay. Any questions from council?
No.
All right, our final property for this evening, 412 to 418 Chestnut.
That's a house, a lady really wants us to take that down. I think maybe that this might be something that we might be able to get a sign off on.
Okay.
You can see the roof is bad on it, all the overhang is bad, the soffit is bad. It's just a shingle house she says is just the haven for raccoons and rats. And she lives next door to it on the same parcel.
Okay.
She has a house, and I've talked to her, so I think she may want to get rid of it, but it's open. She watches it pretty close.
Yeah.
I think that, she's not getting a lot of outside activity, a lot of dumping and things like that. She
Yeah.
keeps the grass cut,
That's what I
but
asked
it
you
is,
about the grass.
it is an issue for her. She said that she would like to see it going, so she may be someone we need to talk to and get a
Okay,
signature with the county. She may wanna do that.
okay. Any questions from council? All right, that is all that I have. We can conclude the hearing.
Well, at this time, I'd like to take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.